Welcome to the METAFORECAST special edition. We are in Omnibus Theatre. We've just had Window to the Spirits, so now we're just like doing a little podcast, a cheeky podcast while we still have some time. Everyone's carpet, everyone just like left after.
Yeah.
So today I have two special guests. The founder of, I was going to say co-founder there, the founder of Poetics, open mic, Kilha Poetry, Kilha McQueen Poetry. That's so loud.
I'm only doing it so I get a clap.
Okay, giving to receive.
Oh.
You got, wow. Jake,
Cut that.
I'll keep that in. And JC.C, who is also a former headliner for Window to the Spirits. Come on.
I'm here.
Yeah. So I guess let's start off with like how you guys are. How you guys feeling this week? You guys chill? Yeah. Feeling very zen-like? End of summer, you kind of
I'm feeling very autumnal. I'm very excited for
You're an autumn baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. So I have this, all right, I'll say this quick. I have this weird ranking of seasons.
Okay.
And summer is probably my least favourite season because of how disappointing it always is, especially in England.
Okay.
So best season out there is spring, by far.
Oh yeah, I'm a spring baby.
Because you get into spring, right, and then you've got all this optimism for summer. You think summer's going to be great. You forgot what the sun was, so you're feeling good. Second, it's got to be winter. You know, and then close third, autumn. Autumn's so good because you've got that excitement as well, that build up to Christmas, New Year's. But it's just like, I can start wearing jumpers again. You know, I can start being a bit more cozy when I'm out.
For the people that are a little bit more like me, more plush. And yeah, I kind of love when I get to wear a hoodie.
Yeah, like cover it up. You don't know what's under here.
You know what I mean? You know, I've not been to the gym in like 5 years. I was going to say 5 weeks, but I've been 5 years. So yeah, I do love like the colder months, to be fair.
Yeah. So as of late, I've been feeling like I'm ready for the new season. Obviously, we had the full moon recently.
Yeah,
probably
full moon.
a long time before this.
Yeah, Harvest moon. Yeah.
So I felt
the last super moon of the year.
There we go. See, so I had a big cleanse. I'd done some journaling, reflecting on where I'm at, where I want to be, and kind of
go with what doesn't serve you and bring you.
And I did generally feel like a negative shadow or mist or whatever you want to call it, just lift from out of me.
That's nice.
Yeah. So apart from that, I'm just knackered.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is a Sunday. I'd rather just be at home. Even after an event like Windows, I'm just tired. So I guess like what my first recollections of you both separately, I guess, was I think for Kilha, I mean, before going to your event, and that's actually the event I met JC at, I think it was online. Oh yeah, Les Speaks headlining and stuff. It was my first memories of you was online with IG of a certain platform. And we used to like do open mic lives on Instagram just during the pandemic. And I was one of the hosts, and you was one of the hosts. So like, yeah, that was kind of like my introduction to you. And then with JC, I think it was at Poetics when you was with Liv at the time. Not with Liv, but you came together. I mean, for a time I was like, oh, they're always together. Like,
we're known as like the kind of poetry couple in a sense.
I'm sure, like, shout out to Liv.
Yeah, I know. Old married couple.
Yeah. I mean, you know, she's amazing.
Actually, do you know what? I just remembered the first time I met you.
Oh, where was it?
So because we'd only sort of like met online.
Internet, yeah.
I came to BYOB and you were sat at a table.
Okay.
And we hadn't actually like been introduced.
Oh, I see. Okay,
to each other. And I was quite nervous to come up and
be like, hi.
And I kind of tapped you on the back and you were so nice and so friendly. I was like, totally relieved. But I was like really nervous to kind of come over and be like, hi, we've met but we haven't met.
Yeah, no, I'm completely the same when I meet people. Like for the that first year, I'm just nervous. Like I like meeting you, like even at Poetics, just meeting. Like I've met Leigh a few times, but I was still nervous. I met Holly D for the first time at Poetics, and I was nervous as well. Liv, I met a few times, but Liv is quite just very warm as a person. But
she's easy to get on with.
Yeah, she's easy to get on with. Yeah.
actually. Both Holly and Liv.
Yeah, Holly is just a walking sunshine. But for me, like, because obviously Holly's reputation, like I've watched like nearly all her videos. Just like my favorite poem at the time was PA, and then obviously she's had other poems. But I was just intimidated just because of how awesome she is. Like, you know, when you just have a poet there, you've not met properly, but you know all of their work, and you're just a fan, and then you're like you, I'd be like you, just like tapping them on the shoulder, like. Hi, like
it's that weird like trying to break down the door as well, because you've got that fan aspect of like how much you respect someone. Yeah. But it's also like I need to try and not be too like fanboy and show that like I'm also wanting to do this. Like there's definitely been people that I've met, and even like Woodsy, for example, just sitting across like from him, and I'm like, what the hell do I say? You know, and I'm just like, are you okay? You know, and you try and form like a somewhat coherent sentence, and it doesn't work out, and you know. Does
it feel stupid? Because obviously like when you have everyone on Insta, like you know their names, but to say, oh, my name is this, when they probably do know your name. Or,
exactly.
Like they know, or you know their name, it's like.
I think it was about a year before I actually knew what your real name was, and I still haven't used it ever.
I mean, it feels weird, like since the pandemic, I feel weird when my friends say my name, my regular name. Because it's like I've been going by Meta for the longest time now, and I'm just, like, it feels more like me.
You are just Meta.
Yeah, you are. In my phone, you're Meta.
Yeah. Like, I mean, JC, like, you're just JC.C.
Yeah.
Like, JC.side bitch.
Oh, that is another term.
Hashtag work wife.
Work wife,
No, sister wife.
You know what they say? Happy work wife.
Happy
work life, you know. And he's very quite useful. He can do some admin.
He's very useful.
He's a useful guy.
I'm like what you store in the garage. You're not really sure when you might get use out of me, but he's there for a rainy day.
Yeah,
you know?
like you're useful sometimes. Like sometimes, you know, that odd spillage or that you know, when you need like your garden, like just
that's me, Dave. That's me. Also, I want to say, like, I'm not sweating because of the podcast. It's just very hot under these lights.
Yeah, for sure. Like I wear glasses too, so
I keep on rubbing my glasses constantly.
I know, I quite noticed that you need some like windscreen wipers.
Yeah.
Do like a little.
Yeah. These are very dramatic lights. We're in the theater. So yeah, I guess. So obviously, I met you guys then, and I think one of the things that really struck me is you as a event runner, like, was quite like the idea to do Poetics in a barn was so original and fresh. Like I got excited just by seeing the wildlife before even any of the poets. I was like, come in early, look at the goats, the rabbits, and the sheep, and then oh shit, now I've got to deal with poets now, and I'm like, oh, that's even.
You had the goats outside and the goats inside.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, damn, man.
The hilarious thing about running Poetics at the farm was the amount of like conversation toilet started.
Oh, the toilet, the use of the toilets,
Because it had an eco toilet. People were like, I am not using it, like flat out and not using it, and other people being really excited by it.
I get excited.
You got excited?
I mean, I've never used the toilet since I've been there. Like, I've never had to go. I don't know, I'm just blessed. I just like hold it in.
But you know what an eco toilet is? There's no flush.
Yeah, you kind of just like throw compost on it or something.
Yeah. There's like
I remember this.
Thing of,
and there's like an outlet.
There's a sawdust thing, and you just like have it.
That must be fun to clean. Like for the guy that has the it's my turn.
But I don't think I think it just goes into the compost.
It just goes naturally in, and I think that's the better way to be.
Wow. Okay. So that was really fun. And then obviously when I met Jay there, I think that was the time when I was meeting Lay and kind of getting used to like Rohan's energy, because Rohan, he was there and
he was hosting for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and see, like when I've seen Rohan online perform, because we made friends online, like he's just very subdued, and it's because like he has kids and it's the end of the day. But it's meeting him in real life, he's just got so much energy, and I just couldn't keep up with him. And stuff, and that was wow, like that was another learning curve. Like everyone is so different online and then in real life. They might be there's more dimensions to them.
But just even going back to what we were saying earlier about meeting people, I remember meeting you that night. And I knew who you were, and you were kind of like in and out of filming, and I was like, how do I like make an approach? Like, I don't want to interrupt your like content.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't want to be like, oh, hey, Meta, it's me. And you're like, who the hell is this guy? Like, just get out of my shot kind of thing.
No, I'm just being a fanboy. I'm being a nerd. I'm just like vlogging because I'm so excited.
I think the beautiful thing is, I think it probably still on your channel, we met on film. Like our first introduction, you kind of turned around and saw me and was like, oh, hey, like, who are you? And I was like, oh, me. You know, and like, so it's nice to have that in a kind of captured.
Documented,
yeah. I think it was a really cool moment.
That video got a lot of views, you know.
What can I say?
Just because, like, so the thing is, like, that video, I'm like going to like 5 or 6 events that week. So like I think that might have been in the middle of the week.
I remember there was a period where you and me were like hitting
all the events and stuff.
All of the events, like right after 9.
It was like 5 or 6 that week, and I'm like, by like Saturday, I'm like dead tired.
Yeah, you're burnt
like
out,
I'm excited during like that time. I think it was like Wednesday or something, and that was just really cool. And that got a lot of views, partly because of your face.
But I really love what you're doing with the documentation of the scene.
1,000,000%.
Because no one else is doing it, and it needs to be documented because there's something amazing going on here.
Yeah.
There's so much talent and so much energy and so much passion. And it'd be such a shame for it to slip away undocumented.
Yeah, for sure. I actually, this gets a bit dark, but I actually scheduled the videos to come out just in case I accidentally like die or something. Like, so like they just come in. Like, it sounds very dark and like, but I just in case like anything happens, I also schedule them so they come out even posthumous. If that's dark and that's weird. But
no, I get that though.
It's realistic, isn't it? Like,
it is. Yeah, you never know. Knock on wood.
Hopefully.
Realistic? What you got planned for him? Jesus Christ!
She's gonna take me out. She's gonna take me out. I'm gonna document that.
We all hope that we're gonna live forever.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what you mean.
The fact that shit does happen.
No, 100%. And I think that probably leads to like you're stemming from like a place of like your legacy.
Yeah.
And you want that to outshine and outlive you in a sense. And that's already showing from this stage. You know, and we were chatting earlier about the documentation of stuff. Like, in years to come, there's going to be so many people like asking you for your footage of people. Like, oh my God, you got the Lay's headline here. Let me see that. Let me get this. You know, I think it's so amazing and it's so generous. It's so ridiculously generous. Not even just your equipment, but your time mainly doing it for just us. For, you know, someone coming to their first open mic, they've got a beautiful shot of them performing. You know what I mean? That they can show their friends or family. That's going to encourage them like tenfold. You know what I mean? To go on and keep on doing this. And I think, I don't know, I think maybe you don't get enough recognition, you know?
Oh, thanks, man.
I think it's really in alignment with because I really genuinely believe that we're stronger together.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, what's the saying, like, divided we fall, united
we stand,
And that, you know, pulling together is how we help each other succeed. Yeah. Because we're all so individual. Everyone's doing something so different. What I'm doing is so different to what Jay's doing, or so different to what you're doing. Just because we are all under the heading of poets, but we can, if we raise each other up.
Yeah. A rising tide.
Rising tide raises all ships.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's one of the reasons I've always loved you. I think you're wonderful, but it's really in alignment with my own beliefs as well. Yeah, I also like to think I'm like you guys. Like I hope I come across as approachable because like I think at events because I'm tethered to the tripod, it feels like I'm just busy. But I mean, I'm good for a quick hello and stuff. And like if I'm not, you know, filming, he's always good for a quick one.
I mean, you know, like there is a vetting process. But yeah, man, I'm down. Like but recently, like I went to BYOB like the last month, and like I came as a non-staff. Yeah, like I sat with you guys. Like I sat at the side. Usually I'm sat in the front, and I actually like got a ticket. Usually it's been a while since like usually I just walk in, and I actively like in the mindset got a ticket.
Camera on your back, you can walk in anywhere basically.
Yeah, I mean, guys, if you ever want to like walk into a poetry event for free, just like bring a camera and a tripod.
Don't just bring a big bag of heavy equipment and not tell anyone.
Like, yeah, because you're gonna just get the feds to call you, call them on. But yeah, like you just can just roll up. But yeah, like I do think that there needs to be more people documenting. So like when I saw Duncan and he was actually kind of curious about what I do, I said, get a gimbal and like start taking photos and stuff. So and he's been doing that since. But yeah, I think since I think poetry platforms have been a bit more aware of like filming their events and stuff.
And I think as well it adds more of a professional touch to the platform.
Yeah,
I think, you know, online, you see you could be looking at, all right, I want to go to a poetry night. Do I go here? Do I go there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, God, this place has got loads of videos. It's got loads of great people and stuff. I think it's so good.
Yeah.
But
because it's all social media, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That it's all social media, but also it is what has united so many of us.
The game's a game in a sense. You know what I mean? You've got to play it.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said, do you ever feel like somewhat naked when you're not filming? Do you ever feel like you're there and don't know what to do, or like?
I mean, I would, like, if you asked me that like earlier this year, I think, I was like, oh, what do I do if I'm not filming? But I think because I'm kind of getting not fed up with filming, like I'm kind of over like filming performances, and I'm in this new chapter where like I want to create different types of poetry content. So like with the scratch nights, so I've got I don't know if you saw my post like this week about Zara doing scratch that. So her video's coming up. So she shares unshared pieces, and then the audience talk about it. I really love that stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously podcasting as well. So just I think for me, it's the conversations that come from poetry, not just the poetry itself. So that's taking a whole new form. And I think there's a lot of there's a lot of YouTube channels that belong to poetry platforms that are capturing their open mic performances. And I'm kind of like, that for me, that's just too much now, because like I have to kind of like individually like edit them together. Whereas like if I shoot long and then I can just let it run, add some graphics, and then I'm done, kind of thing. But also like just add the audio. I find it more fun to chop it up that way. But I forgot the question.
I was just like, do you feel naked?
Yeah,
like,
do I feel
not
naked,
naked, but like, do you?
Yeah.
Because sometimes like I'll be somewhere and say if I'm like, I'm quite energetic and like I'm just sitting down, I feel like twitchy, like I want to start doing stuff. You know what I mean? Do you ever feel like that when you're at a show? Or can you like sit back and kind of enjoy it?
I think I can now. Like I said with BYOB, and tomorrow hopefully I'm not going to film, but I do know that if the hasn't had his headline documented, so I kind of want to do that for him.
Okay.
Because he runs off the chest, because he's one of the poets that I actually respect, because he's had a platform that's been at least 4 years old, and
they put loads of work.
and I'm really down for like I really like to support and capture people that don't really have any footage of themselves. So I mean, even though I would like last month just like sit in as a civilian and just like not film, I'm actually comfortable now with that. But I
remember when we went to the last. What was it called? The Sky Arts.
What's it called? Life and Rhymes.
Life and Rhymes. Yeah. And we talked about going places by ourselves.
Yeah.
And you said to me that you used to feel nervous going places, going to these events by yourself, but you felt more confident in yourself these days, so to go places by yourself. And that was like what you're saying about conversation. Like that really meant something to me, because I've always been really nervous to go to an event by myself.
Yeah.
Always kind of had to put feelers out. Who's going? Or shall we meet up?
And then you come together.
Together.
I do miss that from the early days. Like you just met someone at an event and like, oh, shall we go to this event together? Yeah. And you're like, it's like school, like the first day of school.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shall we sit together at the canteen?
Yeah,
like,
I think it is like that.
I think that's possibly, I mean, from a therapeutic point of view, that could very well be true.
Yeah.
So there is like when there's a big group of people like this, it could, if you've had trauma through your school days, if you've had bullying through your school days, it could bring stuff up like that for you again.
Especially like if you weren't popular and stuff like that. So I'm a big...
You felt like you didn't fit in or anything.
I said on your show, like I'm a big believer in like mixing the tables. Yeah. And even though I don't think I've done it as well as I want to, like I'm still going to try it.
You can only do so much.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Which you've done beautifully.
Thanks. I was going to ask you guys like kind of like the same thing, like about being kind of like naked and stuff. Like, do you?
Like
easy, even if easy.
Sign up to the YouTube Premium for that one, guys. You know?
Only poets. I was like, do you feel weird going to an event and not performing, or do you always feel like you have to perform?
Oh, I love going to an event and not performing, because it just takes.
It's like stress-free, right?
Yeah. You just sit in the corner and just enjoy it all and absorb it all. Whereas when you're performing, you're kind of like, wait, do I remember my lines? Do I remember my first line? And so that means sometimes you miss stuff, which is why I love going first. Because then you just get it out of the way and you don't have to worry. Like
you can enjoy the night.
Other people's words, because I love poetry. So I want to hear what people have got to say.
Yeah.
And that panic about your own performance, that can sometimes detract from it.
Yeah, what about you, Jay? Do you feel the same?
Pretty much 100% the same. There'll probably be a few poets out there that definitely think I'm on the bag or on the gear or something, because I have the worst.
Just look like that guy.
Yeah, I have the worst nervous. I have the worst nervous bladder of all.
Oh, really?
Even today before my performance, I had a wee before it all started. Then midway through, I'm like, I need another wee.
Right, okay.
I
do that.
But he beats me.
No, I've got a terrible bladder, and it's. I'm trying to build it up so I'm not like.
It's like a nervous. Nervous thing. I used to do the same. I used to before I headline, I would go to toilet.
I'm really trying to train my bladder again. But it's that same thing as what Kilha said. I like to get on first because one, I can't really focus on what people are saying. I'm too in my own head.
Yeah.
And two, it's the same kind of get out there and done with. But I always come off and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't breathe the stage. I didn't live it. I rushed it. Yeah. So even today's performance, I tried to breathe with it. I tried, I made myself do a bit of a slower piece to start off. And I was like, I think that anxiety's still ticking in the back there. Like, come on, you've got to go. But going back to your original question, I do love going to shows, not performing. I've been to a few where I've just sat there in a crowd and I'm like, this is a really good night. This is really cool.
I used to be so terrified of performing as well. I'm definitely not terrified of it anymore. But I mean, my very first performance, I had an A4 piece of paper and I shook in front. I shook so hard. The guy whose night it was came on stage and held my hand and held my hand. Edit that, please, because I just said something a bit weird.
You want to say it again?
I shook so hard that the person who put the night on came on stage and held my hand.
Okay.
Because I was terrified, absolutely terrified, and I think I cried for a week
after. Really?
Literally, because I've been quite open about my journey and about the abuse that I've experienced on my journey, and I think there's something in feeling like I didn't have a voice for so long, to suddenly stand on a stage and without alcohol, just speak to a room full of people about something so personal and for it to be received. That was the massive thing about it. It was received so well.
And to be held in that space at that time.
And that every time for anyone would even ask me, do you want a drink? Do you want a cup of tea? I would just burst into tears for about a week afterwards. Because it was just that release and it was just that moving through that healing process.
That's actually something that's good to kind of segue on, in terms of both of you, what was your journey? How did you encounter poetry for the first time? Was it during school? Was it outside of school?
So obviously we studied it at school, but the only two things I failed at school were drama and English literature.
The fun stuff. Yeah, drama's quite fun.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Yeah, I excelled at everything else, but they're the two things I do now, poetry and performing. Yeah, and they're the only ones I failed at. But no, it was just before lockdown, I was writing a lot because I was so sad. Everyone's so sad. That's just the world, isn't it? We're trying to encapsulate our sadness with optimism and happiness and looking forward and trying to deal with mundane stuff and day-to-day stuff and texts and emails and money. It gets so much. I don't see how anyone can't write or how do you get out there, without it? Because it's crushing. It really is. And I think I just had to get it out there, and I was battling kind of homelessness at the time as well, so I was going through a lot of stuff. And then during lockdown, I got in contact with Poetic Unity, who was running courses, getting
that's into... That's really cool.
Getting into spoken word, and that's where I met Rags, and I met some other cool people. I met Nads, I met Joseph Roberts on one of them courses.
Oh yeah, you said you guys go way
back.
Yeah,
we go back, man, we go back. And that's my first performance was at the Poets Corner, when it just opened up after lockdown again, where I met Lay there. And for him, the best day of my life, I'll see you, Lay. But even that, because my second performance is where I met you at Kilha's Poetics, where Lay headlined.
And Lay invited you along.
As a feature. And looking back at that now, that's
a big thing,
That's a really
that's
big
no
thing.
Small feat.
Look, he may have had someone in the pipeline that fell out or something, but still, it's
He didn't, because I know, because I'm the person he gave the names to.
But it's so weird. I'm not sure if he saw something in me, if he wanted to give me an opportunity, but literally from that, I've been so grateful. And the more that time goes on, the more I'm like, shit. Can I swear?
Yeah, good.
All right.
I mean, we've got Sarah Callahan from the end of season 1 talking about drugs. I mean, you can
we'll get onto that. No.
Yeah, but you deserve it, you know.
Yeah, but I don't think I did back then. No chance.
Yeah, you absolutely did. Because I had no idea that you were new. Absolutely no idea.
Really?
Not as a dicky bird.
Yeah, I kind of assume like everyone that comes into poetry, even though I've just met them, it probably some may be just starting out or some have been doing it, but I've just not met them yet. So I just assume that everyone's just kind of like just been doing it.
I honestly cannot remember the first time I wrote a poem. It was literally something I just did like breathing.
Okay.
For as long as I can remember, I've just got notebooks scattered around my bedroom, hidden like surreptitiously around my bedroom with poems in. I've still got all of those poems in notebooks in my garage that I promised myself one day I'll go through.
Yeah, because that could be a book, that could be 2 books, you know.
But I think the first time I realised that I might have something here was my art GCSE, and my art teacher was a bit of a rebellious student, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And my art teacher didn't really like me very much, and she said, "You'll never get above a C." And I'd created this massive 3D piece of work, and it had this poem written either side of it.
Oh, cool.
And she gave me a C for it. And the external examiner came in and changed my grade to an A and said that it was and mentioned about the poem in it. And I carried on writing. I kept writing, but people, you know, like you show it to people and people are kind of like, well done.
That kind of like
like you've just learned to count to 10 for the first time. So I stopped showing people. I just kept it kind of to myself. And then I went back into adult education to become a therapist. And that was when one of my teachers said to me, "Has anyone ever discussed having an ADHD test with you?"
Oh, wow, okay.
And I was like, well, people have said it to me, but they've always said it to me as an insult.
Okay.
As opposed to not as a like productive...
kind of like, you could be having this, that's why you do this, and maybe that could help your life out.
And so they supported me to have my ADHD diagnosis, which came back surprisingly positive. And that's when I started getting help and sort of nurturing the ADHD rather than battling against it. And I wrote my poem Unbroken, which is in the book and in the album.
Right now.
And a friend of mine from college, I showed it to her, and she was so surprised by the poem and her reaction from it. And she was the one who suggested that I create an Instagram. And me and my naivety was like, what, poetry and Instagram? How does that work? And I made it under Kilha Poetry because I didn't want anyone to know it was me, because I was still really sort of like embarrassed or ashamed by both my ability to write.
I mean, you're a good writer though.
But not I knew I had ideas, but it was like the grammar and the spelling I was so embarrassed by.
My grammar and spelling is way off.
But I learned that actually that's what editors are for.
You pay those guys.
And that stuff, you know, is not what sells a book. What sells a book is ideas.
How about you, Jay? How did you come across poetry?
Yeah, going on from like what I previously said about rags and stuff, you know, that I was already working on my anthology before I performed or got into poetry. It was quite a just weird occurrence, very serendipitous of how everything like kind of made shape and formed and, you know, came to be. But obviously lockdown's that time where it was like, well, what else is there to do? You know what I mean? I'm going to go crazy. Like I'm a nut job as it is, but I was undiagnosed, unmedicated back then, spoken more than, you know, Jamaica can in a month. You know, I was getting through it, you know, and I was dealing with breakups, I was dealing with trauma, I was, you know, and it had to come out, it had to. And I think as well, it was like, I have so many ideas, like going back to what Kilha said, so many ideas, and I'm like, this is what I want, all right? And then it's like working on it becomes the like monotony for me, where it's like, all right, trying to make everything sound amazing, trying to get the syllables all lined up, trying to, you know what I mean? I've got my Google Docs is 1,000 untitled documents of me on a train, or even walking here, I wrote a thing, you know, just little notes. And, you know, I think I always compare art to air. Like what we were saying earlier, we've all got to breathe it, so then it takes over. You know, everyone adds to it, everyone takes bits away. You know, it's a collective effort. But you know, really getting into it is when I started performing, when I started meeting people, when I started getting educated about the actual scene, you know, and I was like, okay, there's not only the opportunities here, but there's a real network to actually meet people. And it's like, oh my God, these people are like pretty similar to me in the sense of like we're creatives, but also like, oh, you've had that kind of upbringing, I've had this kind of, you know, and you really
feel a connection.
You really connect to people. And you know, now, like, at first I used to see, like, going out to a gig as, like, quite a big thing. Like, I'd rehearse for, like, 2 days before the event, even if it was an open mic. I'd, you know, just rehearse, iron all my clothes, get all ready. Like, now it's a bit more like, I see it as, like, going to meet some mates. Like, I still have that internal pressure on myself to, like, you know, I'll rehearse and stuff and make sure everything's ready. But it's a lot more, like, comforting now. And especially when you walk in a room, you're like, oh, there's them. Oh, my God, like... You know, I was at a Rhymes and Stitches and
that's Liv's event.
Liv's event, and Rianne was headlining, and I'm like, we was talking, was like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in like years. Yeah, like you don't realise like how quick time goes.
Because she's not from London, she's like in somewhere. I
think it's
Sussex.
I don't know. Okay. But yeah, it's like a weird thing where it is kind of like it is somewhat similar to school in the sense of like these are your friends,
for sure,
but it's that weird dynamic of like you might not see each other for ages, you know. So and I think just performing more and more really boosted my confidence. I think I had a really good stage presence from get-go. I remember Stephen Del Sol always bigging me up on like my self-confidence and my stage presence, and you know, he said just work on that, you know, go with that. You know, it doesn't necessarily matter what you're saying, but as long as you're engaging with people, that's, you know, that's
creating
the better
a moment
thing.
And being present.
So I had so many great tutors to really like keep me going through the process, and well, now I'm here, and I feel like I've still got so much learning. I still 3 years in feel like a newbie.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still learning as well, because I think what I'm slowly getting across is like, for the longest time, I didn't think my page poetry could translate into spoken word, but really it's about just trying to find some sort of like touch point, whether that be the subject or maybe how you're performing it. And I think really like you realize like it's not even about that, it's about slowing it down, making a conscious effort to like make eye contact with someone in the audience, or kind of like illustrate something with like your hands, or so there's always something, because like there's poets like that use their energy to move around because they need it to disperse somewhere, so they'll move across, like someone like Jody. And there's poets that kind of have you focus in, like Mosh, who sits down, has this like very like deep registered voice, which is also quite sexy.
I got him to record my alarm.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could, I would get Mosh on a project and just have him say all my poetry, because he just makes it 1,000 times better.
And also an incredible guy as well.
And he's quite. It's weird because like he's quite out there, but he's also quite shy as well. Like I've noticed.
I think that's a part of the poet's touch. I feel like we're all so external and extroverted, but when we want to be.
Yeah. I always say that I'm
ambivert.
A introverted extrovert, a shy extrovert.
Okay.
I'm a shy extrovert.
Yeah, that juxtaposition. I think that's very true for me, because I don't know if you guys ever saw me in the beginning when I was going to BYOB. I wouldn't chat to anyone. I would just like sit at the front, record, and I wasn't even performing. I was just seeing poets come up, and for the longest time I wasn't performing, so people were just like, who's this guy recording? He's not even going up to do poetry. Like,
that's what Abdullah always says.
Yeah, he always says that. I can't wait for that episode to come out in season 3. But like, it was just kind of weird. And then I don't know what happened. I think I performed, my first performance was at For the Culture, and I did a poem called Poetic Justice, and I didn't get the response I wanted. And then I went to BYOB, performed for the second time, kind of got the response I wanted. And I think that's kind of What made you want to do more?
It's funny that, isn't it? Because like I know some poets who don't ever do the same poem twice.
Yeah.
And for me, like it's really important to keep
doing it.
The same poems. Like She Can't Be Me, which is I know your favourite poem off of my album. And it's probably my most popular poem.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, there was nothing, no response from the audience at all. Yeah. And I remember looking at the audience's face and just thinking, no one's taking this in. And I almost threw that poem away and was like, oh no, it's no good. And then I did it another time, and then it was the third time that I did it, and I just remember the reaction from the audience was so different on that third time. Maybe because I felt more comfortable doing the poem, so it came across better. I don't know.
I think sometimes what I do like is if someone doesn't make any noise, I think people are really listening. It's when
honestly, there was just
no feedback.
It wasn't even that there was no feedback. You can just tell when an audience is taking the words in, and there was just nothing.
Because I've been in crowds when you've performed that, and you've got the women like they're not saying anything because they've been in that situation, and you're probably sending them back to a time when they had that kind of love, and they're just like almost re-engaging with that heartbreak. So I would say like that is a powerful piece, but also just to people at home, like when you have a piece that you always perform, it's actually good because you get the audience familiar with your piece. So it's like just having a song that's catchy. Like if you play a song that no one knows in the club, no one's going to dance to it. But if they've heard it like maybe 5 or 6 or 10 times, they might dance to it.
Exactly. Like the end of the album launch when everyone was singing along to Mightier Than the Sword.
Exactly. So
and you're making up your own beat to it.
Don't ask me to beatbox. But I mean, like it's like you have hits. Like these are your signature poems. Like so for you to do a piece that no one knows, people aren't gonna. But if you do it enough times that people know it, they'll start saying some of the words with you. And that's what I found, because you might be by the end of that you might have performed that for the 500th time that year, and you're bored of it and you don't want it, but people still ask you for it.
People want it, and you know, like for the gig tonight, I was only going to perform that Caress one, the starting one, and I thought, like. It's a Sunday, the energy's a bit low, let me try and pick it up a bit with the, You're My Sweet Addiction.
One,
everyone loves that one. You know?
And you literally fill the room with like sound.
Yeah, exactly. And I get so involved in that one. But going back to other pieces as well, there was a really depressing piece that I wrote called I Don't Want to Get Up. And I performed it a couple of times, and like everyone was just like, oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah. And then I don't know why or what happened, but I think maybe my confidence and cadence grew as a performer. I performed it once and everyone was laughing, and it's not a comedic piece, but people were laughing at the situation. I was like, but this is not a comedic piece. And I looked at it and I was like, this is a comedic piece. This is really funny. Like when I was like breaking it, but and I think that's the thing as well. I think I get up there and I'm usually saying a joke, so it's like people want that energy to go on. They don't want me to go, oh, now my darkness has taken over, So it's quite hard for me, because I would love to be able to write like more comedic pieces, but I can't write funny.
I can't be funny.
I can't write funny. I think I'm just easy to laugh at, if that makes sense. Like I'm quite a joyous guy. I'm quite bubbly, and I'm always down to have a bit of a giggle. So that, I don't know, that piece gave me a whole new perspective on not only performing, but you don't really own your pieces. The crowd creates it, and now...
That was a really hard thing for me to sort of come to terms with, was that once I let go of those words, I've got no control over how they're received.
Yeah, I've got a line in my poem, it's like, once they are sown, they are no longer your own. So once you share that piece, it's like, and that poem's about poets. So like it's like saying like once you do share it, it's no longer yours. Like people will take whatever they want from it, just from their own lenses and stuff. Speaking of like kind of like lenses and stuff, like you guys have been working on a couple projects together.
Yes, we have.
So you've got the radio show.
Yeah, on Voices Radio, first Monday of every month.
Sick.
On Voices Radio last Monday. Wait, I've got it. On Voices Radio, the third Monday of every month. At 11 a.m.
Okay.
Voices Radio.
Wow. that was a test and a half. Like Like, did you have to pay him, like, get this right?
I don't know why she puts up with me, man. I don't know why.
And this is my producer.
I like, honestly, like, I wouldn't put up with me.
He's competent. I know he's competent.
I'm not competent. I'm really...
My producer struggles with putting his headphones on, so...
Oh, that was hard, man. We won't get into it, but that was one for the behind the scenes. But,
is it? Okay.
No, I love working with Jay because I'm always like, we've got this idea for a game that basically completely takes the piss out of you. Is that right? And he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
You're quite okay. I imagine you telling someone else to do that, they would not be down.
No, I'm all for the content, man. I don't care. Like, we're all about growing each other and growing ourselves. And, you know, even from a selfish point of view, I'm like, well, that clip might really blow up or something. So then we can take advantage of it, you know, and it's, you know,
So we did a show with Millie Rose, who is obviously one of the most phenomenal singers in the world.
Probably one of my favourite new poets to have come out, I think this year or last year. Just because like she kind of came in from doing the music thing and now is doing stuff in poetry, has her own event next week.
Well. Such a hard grafter as well.
But obviously because Millie's such a great singer, I always like mould the games around the guest.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, what kind of game can I do for Millie? Obviously, it had to be some kind of singing game. Yeah. And I was like, we don't want Millie to sing. We want Jay to sing.
That's the skill. That's the punch.
With lyric cards, and he had to sing along. No one else could hear.
I actually heard which like I had the not real time, but like it came out at 11, I think, and I listened to it when it came out at 11.
Yeah.
And oh my God, Jay, like.
I didn't hold back.
Yeah, and you did it.
We had to cut so much because of time, and I was like, oh, that could have been an episode in its right.
Half the songs.
And then I'm also there still singing when them two are like, shut up, we've got the answer, but I can't hear anything, so I'm like...
when you're singing Freak Me and Millie's like, Jay, don't make eye contact with me.
I had that bit,
There were so many songs where I'm like, I didn't really know, or like they're a bit before my time, and I'm like, I'm reading them in real really time, I'm like, what has she set me up to say here? Like...
Did you have the lyrics to Jodeci's Freak Me? And then
and the Divine was I Touch Myself.
Okay.
It was great.
I mean, if you need any more songs, I can give you some.
If you need anyone to be a fool for your channel, I'm here. You know, I'm all about the content. I'm all about it.
Content is king.
And also, it's about having a good time. You know, we're here. We want to promote our work. We want to promote ourselves. So why not just laugh? You know, as I was saying earlier, like, and I'll reiterate it again. Life is so sad. Crushingly sad. Yeah. If we sit here and we could list at least 100 things that are bringing us down right now. Yeah. You know, everything's terrible. So if a little giggle, a little bit of joy, a little me saying something or tripping over is funny and brings a little light, I'm brilliant. I'm happy.
And also, it's like with what Jay was just saying, that you know, life is hard and. People get emotional fatigue hearing about stuff.
Yeah,
and about,
that's one thing
this
I've
charity
heard.
And that charity and this the thing and that thing.
Because you did.
So having the platform of the radio show is such a privilege, and I really wanted to use it for good, for people to speak and to have a place to talk about things that are really important. But to avoid that emotional fatigue, you have to make it enjoyable as well. Yeah. You have to make it fun as well.
There needs to be some light.
So we discuss a lot of really in-depth subjects, but we always end with a game. With a very silly, unique game, usually has me making a fool of Jay.
I think just hearing some of your, and obviously being on one of your shows, like it made me think, should I put a game in my podcast? Like I need to do something cool. And I've just been watching YouTube videos because you know YouTube videos have like so many videos. I'm like, I'm gonna take the game from that and just put it in.
You're gonna do poetry Squid Game or something. But I think it's also a good thing.
It's an icebreaker as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think like business-wise, professionally, putting it at the end, you're always like people know they like that segment.
So it gives them something to like watch.
Yeah, and it's also a bit of consistency. Their routine, they're familiar with it, and it's also as you said,
the formula is like really has been thought about a lot. Like we start with like energy, we start with a song to get people going, then we kind of go deep into the meat. And then we come out with the game, and we always have like a classic killer track to end the show.
Nice little bit of dessert, you know what I mean? Bit of sweetness.
Set people up for the rest of the day because it goes out on a Monday morning, you know.
Yeah, that's true. What I do like is like that kind of energy that you guys always bring, and familiarity is almost like this comfort food as well. So like to have people kind of like get into that routine, they kind of know that the fun bits near the end, so they it motivates them to watch through the whole thing.
But even for us, I think it's great. You know what I mean? Because, you know, our most recent episode we just recorded is quite heavy. A lot of stuff was spoken about. Yeah. And it was nice to just have a little bit of like all right, we can go home with a little bit of a smile. You know, bring back to what I was saying before. Like, I think a little bit of laughter does go a very long way. And that's from personal experience. I can't say for everyone. No, but I think, you know, I heard a great quote. I don't know what it is, but you can't... Two things can be real at the same time, but you can't really feel two emotions at the same time, you know? So I think if someone's laughing, the anxiety, the sadness is just a bit quieter for a while. And I think that's just such a great way to be. Like, try and be positive. Try and... It's hard, mate. Sometimes you could see me in the high street and I've got my bloody head down. I'm like, if anyone approaches me, I'm going to kick off. But... if someone like come up to and makes me laugh, I'm like, wow, my day's brilliant now. Like, it's just a little bit goes such a long way.
Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Something that connects with you that makes you laugh. Like when we did the show on loneliness, and we talked about loneliness isn't about how many people you're around. You can be in a room full of people.
And you can still be lonely.
You still be lonely.
Was that Robin Williams that said that as well?
But loneliness is about a lack of connection. So reading a poem that you can connect with, that's a breakthrough from the loneliness. Having somebody that you can connect with to laugh with, that's a break from the loneliness. And we have this massive epidemic of loneliness going on right now.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think the pandemic kind of like
massively
amplified it or made it more?
I think it massively done so because I unfortunately think a lot of people don't have time to focus on their trauma. Yeah. They really don't. Especially if it's traditional life, college, uni,
and
work.
You're 9 to 5,
What time do you have? And then lockdown hit and everyone's just there and it's like, oh, wait a minute.
I've got to sit with these thoughts.
Yeah, I've got to sit with these thoughts and I can't chat to no one really. You know, so I think a lot of it was that. Yeah. And it's also, if I locked you in this room for 3 hours, you're going to start getting a bit sad after a while. You can have stuff to do.
I don't know. As long as I have my phone, I'm checking.
No, but you know what I mean? Like with nothing, your thoughts will just start playing on you. You know, I think isolation can be a real killer, and it's
the quickest way to break somebody down.
Yeah, like you hear like these things. Like if you ever like trapped in a soundproof room, like you just go crazy with your own.
Yeah. That's what they used to do in prisons, like Alcatraz and stuff, and put people in the hole. To try to break them down if they're causing too much trouble. You know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Have you ever been to Alcatraz?
No, I mean I've seen The Rock with you know that movie with Sean Connery.
I've been in the room where they used to call the hole, and they give you the experience. Like you go in there and switch all the lights off, and they're like, imagine being in here for like 24 hours for 2-3 days. For a week, and it's like apparently people used to like have a penny, try and have a penny in their pocket, so they just flip it and try to find just anything to try to keep their minds occupied, because it would just break you down.
Yeah. Do you think that's what people do through creativity? They're trying to find something or occupy themselves so they don't have to kind of face those thoughts.
I think for me it was I didn't have anyone to talk to.
Okay.
Growing up. I knew from a very young age that I wasn't supposed to discuss
certain things,
situations that were going on at home, and so I grew up very, very quickly. But I had all of this sadness and all of this trauma to deal with, and nowhere to take it. So I wrote about it, and I wrote it down. I wrote how I felt, and I think as I got older, reading other people's made me realise I wasn't alone, that there were other people who'd experienced this stuff, and as a therapist, it's really important with my clients that I invoke creativity, because if you can't imagine a better life, you can't imagine being better. So the first thing I'll do with any of my clients is invoke creativity.
Very like that. It's beautiful.
Do you how because I had an episode with like Curly and Anna about therapy. Like, how does therapy and poetry for you interact?
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, on my own personal journey, it. I think I always say like there's so much healing of your journey when you're writing it down, but the healing really comes when you stand in a room and share that work and people connect to it. So like, yeah, for me the healing is really in the sharing.
Do you feel the same way, Jay? Like when you share pieces, do you feel better?
See, I was going to say I do, but there are a few pieces I've never performed because I am still scared. I'm quite scared to be that vulnerable in a sense where it's quite dark past history and stuff, you know, and I think especially for me, I want to be known as a little bit of light in a, you know, in a darkened room. So I don't know. I think definitely one day I will perform it.
There should be no judgment on your journey.
No, I don't feel judgment for anyone else. I'm not sure
Just do it when you're ready to.
That's what I mean.
Do you think the current way events are set up, like that's not the format for that piece? Like if you were to do like I've been doing scratch nights, would that be a better format for it?
I'm not sure. I think maybe it'd be. I don't know. I honestly don't know how it'd be received at which event, but I know for me, like creativity and you know, growing from trauma. I think growing from trauma forced me to be creative.
Yeah.
Because my mind was in a situation where I couldn't focus on what was happening.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, like I always thought I was like lost in the clouds or something, but I was always thinking of stories. I was always thinking of, you know, I was living this daydream, but that was from my trauma. I couldn't be in the present and process what was happening.
There's something called fantastic reality, which is what a lot of children do when they can't deal with the reality of what's going on, so they create new worlds. Yeah,
and that is literally what I'd done, and that's, you know, for better or for worse, that's why I'm a writer, you know. And now I'm a lot more present, and I'm in therapy myself and stuff. I think, I don't know, I think there is definitely a relief of when you perform a certain subject, and definitely when you can connect to people afterwards. But I feel like a bit of a sham if I said too much, because I'm like, well, I've still not taken that big step myself and performed some pieces because I'm not sure if I'm ready to be that vulnerable.
But there's poems in there that I will never perform to an audience because
that's true.
Yeah. That there is a section on recovery, and I've put in brackets underneath that heading, all of the poems in this section need a trigger warning because they are all, and there's some very dark pieces in there, but it's, it's your journey. If you want to perform something, you should no one else has the right to tell you.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Do it, and if you don't want to perform it, and you want to put it in a book, that's fine too. If you want to put it on an album or whatever, that's fine too. It's your journey. For me, putting this book out, I've called it so long, and thanks for all the material, because it's like this section of my life, this healing journey is done. I'm done with it now. It's like I'm not a victim anymore. I was a victim. I had to acknowledge that at some point I had been a victim in order to move to the next stage where I became a survivor. And then I acknowledged that I was a survivor. Now I'm neither of those things. Now I'm Kilha Poetry.
No, just a person that's just
and now
navigating.
I've let that go. But my, that was my journey, and everyone's is very different.
Sorry, I've got a question. Did you find through the book and stuff helped letting go? Yeah,
and I knew that these were the poems. There were poems that didn't go into it because they weren't part of that journey. So if you read that from beginning to end, it's a collection of poems. You can pick and choose as you like. But if you read it from beginning to end, it will tell you a story as well. And I knew that was the story. Putting it out was saying goodbye to it.
There's a catharsis about, anything here that you transcribe and is now physical. There's a weight lifted. And getting into the book, like how long how long did it take to create this book for you?
Always ask me that, and I have got honestly no answer.
Yeah, because it took your life to read. Yeah, it took your lifetime to write it.
Tell you. So. It was like there just came a point where it was like, okay, yeah, this is done now. This is it. And even the very last poem to go in there was Religion's Not My Relationship with God. And it was like like at the day that it was going to press. And I was like, hang on, wait, I've got one more.
I remember when you was working on that piece, actually.
Yeah.
But also, I think as well, personally, my thoughts are very abstract. And I think all thoughts are. And they're very hard, especially when you're going through something. It's just constantly circling round, and it's not even words most of the times. It's just feelings and behaviour. It's like icky in a sense. But I find when I take it from there and put it on a page or talk about it, it's tangible.
Yeah.
It's something I can actually wrestle with now. It's not demons and ghosts flying at me from all different angles. It's like, no, it's a big fucking scary bear, but at least I know what it is now, And I think that process of taking it from mind to physical is really beneficial.
Absolutely.
What is there that because you're currently got something else going on right now?
So I was lucky enough to be invited by the Forward Arts Foundation to appear in their short film for National Poetry Day.
Sick.
Among 4 other poets who are all just absolutely incredible,
amazing,
phenomenal. And that was just such a blessing. They asked me to pick a poem under the theme of refuge. And at first I kind of panicked. I was like, I don't know if I've got anything. And the more I sort of read through stuff, the more I was like, oh yeah, I've got loads of stuff that fits into this. So I picked my poem that's called You Could Be My Johnny Marr, which is about my relationship with music and about how music has always been my refuge. And yes, I performed that for them, and they asked me if I wanted any props or anything, and I was like, I don't think I want any props. And then I just had this idea of a lot of the videos that I'd taken at live gigs, because I love live music. I love going to see bands play. So I took some of the videos that I'd taken at the various gigs that I'd been to in the last 12 months and made a little collage. So they're playing in the background behind me while I'm saying the poem. And then they did a little Q&A section with me.
That's
cool. It was really lovely, yeah.
So how was that experience? Like, was it exciting? Was it
exciting? Yeah.
Okay, cool. What was the process? Were you like, okay, I got to do this and do this, and how did I put it together?
I nearly deleted the email. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Do you know how you get so many bullshit emails?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's this now?
It's a fake one or something.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, what is this? Another oh, we want you to sponsor our company thing, and it's like, yeah, well, sure you do. You just want my bank details, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of read through the first line. I was like, oh, hang on, wait, this is interesting.
It's a real one.
And yeah, so I was really excited. I was so excited. But then I started getting really nervous because I love performing, but I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with performing. It's which is why the radio is perfect for me, because I can perform and I don't have to see any audience.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh God, I don't know if I want everyone to people to see me, even here today, with the camera pointing at me. I'm like,
yeah, it's weird. It's like when you're a poet, you want to perform, but you don't want to perform, or you just don't. Some people react differently to attention.
Yeah, 100%. I think with this stuff, I'm very good. On the radio show, I'm very calm. I think I've always been quite calm. Being on stage, once I'm up there, when you're panicked. I think when I'm on stage, I'm a bit more relaxed. But for me, it's the build up. My anxiety takes over, and unfortunately, I let it sometimes as well.
Yeah.
And it can become so daunting sometimes, especially that. All right, I know I'm coming on next. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh my God. But
I think for me there was period at college where I was being quite badly bullied, and I was in a theatre piece that had posters that went up around the school. And someone wrote under my picture that I was really ugly, and wrote on all these different pieces. So that's always really stayed with me.
Oh.
So I'm like, I don't know if I want people to like. See what I mean? And so it's like I do have this like desire to perform, but then it's like combated against this like traumatic experience.
I guess like with people, like they always see the inner child when they look in the mirror, and no matter what you look like now or where you are, like you can have like the best job, or you could be like have a six-pack and stuff, but that person will always see like the frail, skinny child, or the fat child, or like, you know, the mess that they were when they were not a mess, but like
I know what you're saying, and I think
the version of themselves when they were kids.
That's 100% true. Like I used to have really, really bad speech impediment when I was younger, and I was very slurred, and a lot of my family and kids would just, you know, take the mick and stuff, and you know, it really used to get to me too. When it was around the time I was going from primary to secondary school, like the first year of secondary school, I barely spoke. Because I was like, I'm at an all-boys school now as well. I was like, all right, let's keep this away from everyone. You know what I mean? I've been picked on before, but I don't want to get picked on now by a bunch of like big boys, you know? And that always sticks with me now. Like I notice it sometimes. It's when I get a bit more tired or lazy, I'm like, a bit more slurred. But I always try and make an effort to. I think that's why I've got quite a loud voice when I'm on stage. I'm like loud and clear, kind of. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing. You know, that's always stuck with me. You know, no matter how much confidence I've gained in myself over that time, no matter how much my voice has changed. You know, I'm on stage performing now, and I'm still like, oh, bloody list boy over here. You know what I mean?
What there's an observation like with poets that I know that suffer from dyslexia. You'll never see them read. Like they actually commit their poems to memory, because that's something that's how they navigate the world outside of poetry, because they don't want to be seen as the person that can't read, so they kind of like memorize something, or they'll know something inside out because they don't ever have to refer to it again, like on page, because it will expose them.
Diagnosis as well, and that's massively. I've started like having my book or my phone a bit more just recently, but I did before always really try to learn them beforehand.
Yeah, I could, because it's just something that I've just noticed, and it kind of makes sense, because I think for anything that you feel like you've got a weakness in, you always kind of compensate or overcompensate, like, and then just to kind of hide it. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you both, like, since you guys are starting a journey, like, and 3 years is still just early days, like, where do you kind of want to take your poetry careers from now, like going into 2024?
I honestly want to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm behind the scenes working on an EP, which I think is very cool.
Sick.
But in all honesty, I think it's not only, you know, I've got younger siblings, it's not only for them, it's for my future kids. It's to show, just try stuff. You know, like, come on, we all want to be rich and famous and have that kind of life, but I love going to Tesco's and not being noticed. Like, it's great. Like, I think it's just such a good chance to show them, like, why not try it? You know, if this quote unquote amounts to not nothing, because I've gained stuff from it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think I've gained so much that, you know, the fame, the glitz, the glamour, it does. That's not really what motivates me. For better or for worse, in some senses, I think people sometimes need that to get to that next level of, you know, really being good.
What is success?
You know, like saying this being a full-time gig or something like that. You know, obviously that is the dream, and that would be great. But you know, I loved it in my headline when my family came through. Like my family,
that was really cool.
Yeah, they would have never gone to a poetry show in their whole life.
That was one of my questions I wanted to ask you. Like, how was it headlining?
They loved it, and I loved it as well. And just, you know, seeing them there, and then, you know, getting so much good feedback from them there. You know, whereas 3 years ago I weren't doing this. It's such like a cool thing, and I think it's good inspiration for not only me but for the younger members of my family to be like, look, why not give it a go? Yeah. You know, just see what can happen. You know?
I mean, my brother who will attest to this, like when I started doing poetry in the pandemic, and I just quit my job, and I was just like, let me just do this, because like I've got nothing else to do. And like, you know, if you told me at the beginning like I'd be doing this and this in the span of 3 years, I was like, I'd tell you to fuck off or something.
Yeah, you don't realise how quick it builds up. But like, I look back and I think like I haven't really progressed much this year. And now I'm like, I'm a producer on a radio show. I've headlined. I'm going to gigs. I'm working on an EP. Like, if I said that to myself 3 years ago,
videos coming up.
Yeah, got videos coming out. You know, if I said that to myself 3 years ago, that guy would have been like, piss off. Like, no.
You don't skip a film straight to the ending, do you?
No, I think that's really true. And it's
to enjoy the whole story.
One of my favourite sayings is, we're all humans becoming, not human beings. And I just want to see where the journey can take me.
And also, like, I tell poets this a lot, like, just from analysing just how people's, like, everyone gets into poetry from via a different path, and everyone's path is different, and everyone has a different way of doing poetry and doing different things, and everyone has different skills. So your path is going to look different from someone else's, so you never compare yourself. But also, like when you see the poets that you see that have success and stuff, like in terms of, like, what you
perceive as success.
Yeah, I mean, if we talk about success in, like, you know, if you wanted to make a full-time thing out of it, like, then that takes years. Like, you got poets that are only just seeing the benefits now after like 10 years, 15 years. So you're only like the first leg of it. Like, it's going to take another, like...
It's like gaining XP or like, I'm leveling up. I'm leveling up.
And but it did, like, this time in like 5 years, like, you're going to be somewhere else. Like, it might not even be, but you might have pivoted to, I've known poets like just starting to do radio shows or TV work or whatever. Like,
probably would have been cancelled by then, mate. I'm joking.
You would say that. But yeah, like, that's amazing. And like, yeah, with Kilha, like, you've got obviously music coming out.
So my album, Mightier Than Sword, came out 2-3 months ago now.
Yeah.
I can't really remember. And it's doing really well. It's really, you know, there's so much work that goes into producing an album. And, you know, you don't make any money off of it. There's no money to be made back from an
return
album.
of interest, ROI is like different.
I mean,
negligible.
I'm not going to see that money back again.
Yeah.
But I love the process of making that album, and I've already started making my second one because I just enjoy it so much. Yeah. So for me, the success is that enjoyment, and when people come up to me and go, "Oh, I listened to your album and it really spoke to me." I had messages from people people who have nothing to do with poetry. Who message me, who are like, haven't spoken to for a really long time, who might just follow my Kilha page, just being like, I thought I'd check out your album and I cannot believe how much it spoke to me. And that's just amazing, yeah.
And I think as well, for nothing else, like what you were saying earlier about scheduling your videos, like, I think, you know, if I sadly was to go tomorrow, I've got somewhat of a legacy already. I've got, all right, people can look back and see tapes of me, you know, they can see me performing, they can hear me on the radio show, you know. I think it's good to just, I don't know, it's just like, it's fun, isn't it? It's like, it's astronomically weird that I'm in this position, but it's quite normal now. You know, so that's really nice.
I've got this idea for like a video series where, like, I'm just going to talk to poets in the scene and just like have them record a message to themselves. I'm going to call it time capsules.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cute.
I'll schedule the video like for like 5 years or 1 year in the future, and we'll all forget about it. And I was like, oh shit, it came out. And
you might cause me to cry, thinking like, oh, I want to have kids, I want to be settled, and I'm there like, oh God, what's gone wrong? No, I'm joking. But no, I think that'd be really cute.
Really cool. I might get working on that like later on this year, or if not 2024. For both of you, like in terms of your career so far, like what are your career highlights? Like what moments this year or from before, like of like, oh, I can't believe that happened, or I'm really proud of this moment?
I think probably for me, being invited by Forward Arts to appear in that film. I think, and having the album out and watching it like just go all across the globe and getting that real-time feedback. And obviously, you know, the book was last year, but still, I'm proud of the book.
The book's amazing.
Still available.
Available on Amazon.
On all platforms.
Other bookstores are available.
I'll get it off in person. What about you, Jay?
Personally, I think my first two anthologies, which also like no one in the poetry scene's read because of how personal they are. I don't sell them anymore. That was just for me. They're crap poems now. I don't like them now. But like some of them I look back and I'm like, that's all right.
Don't be talking negative about yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm saying I would, if I were to release another book, put a lot more effort into it.
Don't be talking negative about my friend.
Would you kind of like maybe just revisit them and just maybe just make them better in your through your lens, like if
maybe I don't. To be fair, it's like
have you just left them
they're
there?
Quite dated in a sense. Not dated, but like that's from such a different time in my life. Like, and they would have been released 3 years ago on the 12th of this month. So that's my official poetry birthday. So I'm still like a toddler, man. And for career highlights, it's been everything. Literally everything's been amazing. Getting asked to headline is amazing. Getting asked to headline more than once is amazing. Being asked just to do stuff, to help you out on the radio, to be on this podcast, to just little things, they mean so much to me. They really, really do. And, I'm not really one about financial benefit. I don't care about that. It's like, I
tried to give him money and he won't take it.
No, I don't take it.
You have to like, just like force it. Like,
no, I don't know. I'm here to like have fun, help people out and, selfishly do some stuff for me as well, and just see where I can grow and see where I can take it. So
united we stand, divided we fall.
Exactly, and the grass isn't greener on the other side; it's greener where you water it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's such a good thing. Like in terms of attention, like whatever you pay attention to, that's what you're watering. Mm-hmm. So like whatever you want to get better at, then just do your 10,000 hours. It might even take less. And passion will take you there, but will direct you there, but consistency also will get you over the days when you're not so passionate about it. And I think that's important.
Even like today, it was like, no offense to either of you, it was such a struggle to get here. It was, it was really like kicking myself up the arse to get here. And, it's like everything. When I get here, I'm like, it's been a great time, but it was hard, but it's nice doing it. And it's nice going home now and being like, all right,
you've done it now, and now it's just up to me to edit it.
you got the real fun.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I've still got to edit the radio show as well.
I've got to take out. I might leave some bloopers in.
Yeah. Oh, why not? Why not?
Special bloopers.
Jay's toilet break.
Jay's put it on the TikTok feed. And then get the algorithm.
Put like on
There's
it.
kind of those bleeps, and then obviously Kilha's a cardboard box.
My cardboard box for my old granny leg.
So obviously, like I'm aware of time and stuff. Like, is there anything else you want to kind of mention or plug before we and before we end the podcast?
I'll say this, but before you keep it in, ask me if it's still relevant.
Okay.
If that makes sense, because I don't know if this is going to happen or not.
Okay.
So the radio station have partnered up with Poetics, so we've got a show coming out. So keep your eye on my Kilha page for details of that.
Nice. Okay, cool. And I'll remind you closer to the time when the video comes out, like, do I keep this in or not?
Do I keep this or not?
And then what about you, Jay?
For me, I'm loving
life.
Oh, I was waiting for the bang to go. For me,
all out, darling.
For me, I'm loving Voices Radio, Kilha Conversations. It's honestly, it's so fun to do. Nice. It's so great being forced to see my friend. Not like that, but you know what I mean?
Like you have a commitment.
No, but it's nice. You know what I mean?
You have a commitment.
We're not just meeting up for necessity. Like it's a good chance to like have a catch up and like, and it gets...
I love being productive. I love being creatively productive. Like that's just... I'd rather do that than sit in the pub for 4 hours getting pissed.
Exactly. And Kilha's very good at like kicking me up the arse, and
does need it sometimes.
No, I definitely do, and that's the thing. I never take offence to it. I always know.
A gentle reminder.
Nice. I remember once I text you like, "Oh, I'll do it then." And you were like, "No, it needs to be done now." And I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough.
My favourite was when I sent you a message about something that was really important, needed doing, and then I was like, "Jay, have you read this message?" And you were like, "No, why?" If you read the message, you'll know why. Do you want to write it again?
Oh, we have
smoke signals.
Yeah. But apart from that, just follow TikToks. I do TikToks every now and then. Some of them do really well.
OnlyFans.
Oh, I'm trying to get the body fat down.
Grinder ready.
Cut that.
Don't cut it.
I don't know how I'm going to edit this.
Sorry. You'll be hating us.
Just JAYCDOTC. I've got the website, the Instagram. Nice. I've got everything. I'm just, seeing where it goes and just having fun.
That's all you can ask for, isn't it? That is the best sign of success.
Nice.
That is it.
if you're enjoying what you're doing. You can find me at Kilha Poetry, KILHA Poetry. It's not a reference to the size of my ego, but my pharaonic heritage.
Nice. And Jay, you can find me at the METAFORest, the metaphor with a PH, EST at the end, or one word, Instagram and YouTube. And maybe by the time this has come out, my website's out.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that'll be themetaphorest.co.uk. And yeah, man, you can just find me anywhere.
Anywhere.
The SEO is strong.
It's just everywhere.
I'm just everywhere.
Before we finish up, just want to say thanks again, Meta.
Thank you so much.
I'm not just talking about the scene here. I'm talking about me personally. You've done so much, so thank you so much.
No, it was nice, man. And I just like you said, just from that first video when I had you in the vlog and stuff, like just seeing where you've come from there now, like it's just amazing. I like just seeing everyone that's been
the growth
I've met across on my journey, like, and seeing their journey and documenting that. It's always fun to see. Like I've managed to see like people like RVJ, Lace Beats, like do their thing, like, and then you, and then Liv, who's got her own thing. Millie Rose has got her own.
Yeah, it's
thing.
nice
Like,
to see everyone's different path and where it
fun.
goes. But
yeah, I'm excited, man. So 2024 is looking very nice.
Oh, what a wholesome podcast.
I'm a wholesome guy. But yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, good
work. We getting it.
Okay, hey. And then you guys have fun, and I'll see you next month for the next episode.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
There we go.
Yes. Cool. Hey.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, guys.
That's a whack.